They've left, but he's still here till tomorrow. Yeah, if you don't mind, because we're being filmed, I better get on with it. Is that, yeah, we're on air already, you know. No, you better not. Tom Cruise never has this problem. Yeah, okay. Okay, so, love is in the air, everywhere I look around. I'm showing off now.
Yeah. And you said to me you couldn't sing.
There you go. I was miming Lucy, I'm just very good at it. So welcome. So again, we've got a good number, good thing. Very positive feedback last time from our friends online. So hopefully we'll enjoy it. We're all here together and it's just sharing the word and taking it from there. Are you ready to learn about one of my tattoos? And just in time, Sue. Well done. The good stuff's starting. Right. There's a Chinese symbol, and then I'm giving you homework now. Then there's a scripture over it on this arm. I'm not going to show you it. I'm wearing long sleeves deliberately. And it's John 15:15. Okay? John 15:15. And it's the inspiration of this first poem. Okay. Are you ready, Lucy? You comfy? Yeah? Okay.
Just want to make yourself presentable to you. Yeah.
Friendship. Iceberg's tip. Alienation thawed. Mutual admiration with flaws. Lifelong. Momentary. Stepping up, stepped back when needed. Moments with tears. Joyful seconds. Mournful beckons. The shift for those lost in the drift. Today, they help bring us here. Those that did, do, or will do. Part of our story, part of us. Friends. And if I can ask Jane's got the hard job today. She's up, so yeah. Thank you.
Okay, so I was actually supposed to be in Cambridge today with a magician, but that's another story for another time. At a magic shop, but there you go. And so I said to Father yesterday, as I was coming out of church, I said, there's a really good poem, Love Bade Me Welcome. It just came into my head. I couldn't remember who it was. I couldn't remember where I'd read it. But I can remember reading it, and it had a really strong impact on me. So I think it must have been when I was doing A-level English a very, very long time ago. So I just put into the internet, Love Bade Me Welcome, and it came up. And I thought, great. So it's by a gentleman called George Herbert, who was born in 1593 and he died in 1633. He was a Welsh poet, an orator, and a priest. George Herbert is associated with the metaphysical poets. He received a good education, attended Cambridge, became a public orator, served in Parliament, and devoted himself to the Church of England. He spent the last years of his life as a rector in a little parish of the St Andrew's Church in Lower Bemerton, Salisbury. Although he was a very religious man, Herbert didn't possess healthy habits, and he died of consumption at the age of 39. And in Westminster Abbey, there is a stained glass window dedicated to him. There's actually, if you do like the poem that I'm going to read, there is, on the internet, there is a huge amount of great detail as to what it means. And it's called Love. Love bade me welcome, yet my soul drew back, guilty of dust and sin. But quick-eyed love, observing me grow slack from my first entrance in, drew nearer to me, sweetly questioning if I lacked anything. A guest, I answered, worthy to be here. Love said, you shall be he. I, the unkind, ungrateful, ah, my dear, I cannot look on thee. Love took my hand and smiling did reply, who made the eyes but I? Truth, Lord, but I have marred them. Let my shame go where it doth deserve. And know you not, says love, who bore the blame? My dear, then I will sit and serve. You must sit down, says love, and taste my meat. So I did sit and eat. Thank you.
Thank you, Jane. And if I can ask Annette up now, please.
Matthew J. Stepanek is best known as Matty, a poet, a peace advocate, and a public speaker who appeared on Oprah, The Today Show, and Good Morning America. He was born in 1990 and just died before his 14th birthday in 2004. Matty, the youngest of four, suffered and died from a rare form of muscular dystrophy, as did his other siblings, a condition which was unknown until his mother was diagnosed with mitochondrial disease in adulthood after her children were born. His hero was former United States President Jimmy Carter, who befriended the young writer, describing him as the most extraordinary person whom I have ever known. Matty's poems reflect the joy he had in life, as well as touching on the deep and profound that echoed the wisdom he had beyond his years. His poetry books and collection of peace essays also became New York Times bestsellers, and some of his poetry has been set to music. The poem Heart Songs is probably one of his most well-known poems, and you can find it on the internet very easily. But I want to read to you one of my favourite poems written by him when he was just 6 years old. Meditation, the wind in my heart. This is not a dream. This is real. I talk with God, and even if my eyes are closed, I am awake and I know. Whichever direction the wind is blowing, I follow it. And where the wind stops, I stop where it stops, and I see God. Sometimes God looks like a golden harp that is shaped like a silver flower. We talk together about health. We talk about how babies and other people die. Then I hug and kiss God. I can do that because God is every shape that the world has. He is a circle, a triangle, every shape. He is even invisible, and he is even human. So we can hug God if we know how. I understand, so I hug him. God is everywhere the wind takes me. The wind takes me to God, and God takes the wind to me. It asks me where I want to go, without even saying anything, any word. It just knows. It just knows. I always see in the wind, and so I will follow the wind as it moves inside my world, and inside my house, and inside my heart. I will trust the wind, and I will let it take me wherever it is going, because God is in the wind. God is the wind, and I am here for God. On September the 21st, 2012, on the Feast of St. Matthew and the International Day of Peace, the Matty J. Stepanek Guild was officially launched, with the objective of investigating Matty's life and virtues for the possible cause of canonisation. For further information on this inspirational, courageous and wise young man, I recommend the biography Messenger, The Legacy of Matty J.T. Stepanek, written by his mother, Jenny Stepanek, also a New York Times bestseller. Thank you.
We were all blown away at the last spoken word by a young lad called Finnan, but I think Matty's words, to write that when you're 6 years old, that's something, it really is. So if I can ask you to come up now, please.
You're going to have to bear with me with this because I find it sad and difficult to get out without filling up. But Sweetheart's love letters sent during wartime. Letter writing to a loved one often allows the writer to express themselves more eloquently from the heart than perhaps they would actually say aloud. During wartime, as in World War I and World War II, it was the practice that those sent overseas were asked to write a letter to their loved one, to be kept, should it become necessary, in the eventuality of their death, to then be handed to their loved one. Perhaps the most heartbreaking and yet loving ones were those written by husbands to their wives. This letter was from Arthur Money to his wife Euphemia, written during World War I. What shall I say to you, my beloved wife? For when and if you get this letter, I shall no longer be with you. You have given me the happiest years of my life, darling, and if I am not to have the final happiness of being at home with you and of seeing the little sons grow up, well, I have had more good fortune than falls to the lot of most men, far more than I deserve. And I thank God for it, and the little sons, and most of all you, my best beloved. You have been the sweetest and most loving wife, and may be happy in the thought of all the love and happiness you have brought to my life. I know you will be a wise and loving little mother to our sons, and I pray that they may grow up to be a blessing to you. I wouldn't have you grieve for me too much, darling, and I wouldn't have you, on my account, not marry again. You are young, and you will be lonely when the little sons grow up and go to school. I know they will be your first thought, and that if you do marry again, it will be not only to a man you can love and respect, but one who will be a good and loving father to the sons, as I would have tried to be. You must talk to little David about his daddy and tell him how dearly he loved his little sonny boy and how he wants him to be a good and loving son to his mummy and to always put the thought of her before everything else. My last thought will be of you, my darling, and my last prayer will be in the words you wrote in my Bible, that God will defend my beloved and our little sons, keep them in body and soul, and grant that they and I may be bound together by this unseen chain of love, by the communion of his Spirit, and by the holy fellowship of his saints, and that we may finally be together in his heavenly kingdom. God bless and keep you, my sweet beloved wife. Thankfully, unlike most women, Euphemia never had to receive this letter.
If I can ask Jenny to come up now, please. She's just giving me the dirtiest look.
You, Father, it was. I'm afraid I thought this was likely to happen because it's such a well-known poem about love and Jane. Yes.
That's something I need to bear in mind, isn't it? Okay.
Yes. Well, it's the one that sprang immediately to mind. And it is our friend George Herbert again, who belonged to a different persuasion, i.e. he was an Anglican. This he wrote in 1633. It says Shakespeare had dialogues between kings, queens, and usurpers. George Herbert had dialogues between himself and God. In this encounter, across a dining room table, God is present, disguised as a concept, love. Only later on in the poem does he appear as himself, at his full height and eloquence, and even he is robed not so much in a panoply of glory as in the air of humility. It is hard not to think of Herbert's attitude as that of a child being taught something necessary to do but difficult to grasp, i.e. put your toys away. God is the patient instructor. Eventually, God has implanted his whole message, and the narrator signs off on a brief encounter. Almost nothing has happened, except everything has. God's grace has been registered as a generosity. The meal is just between two people facing each other, except that one of them is a divinity. Herbert, the narrator, is mortal, except that he is more than mortal, after being so lavishly instructed, and he has feasted on the instruction. So here it comes again. Love bade me welcome, yet my soul drew back, guilty of dust and sin. But quick-eyed love, observing me grow slack from my first entrance in, drew nearer to me, sweetly questioning if I lacked anything. A guest, I answered, worthy to be here. Love said, you shall be he. I, the unkind, ungrateful, ah, my dear, I cannot look on thee. Love took my hand and smiling did reply, who made the eyes but I? Truth, Lord, but I have marred them. Let my shame go where it doth deserve. And know you not, said love, who bore the blame? My dear, then I will serve. You must sit, says love, and taste my meat. So I did sit and eat.
There was no need for the look, Jenny, actually, because it worked to hear it once, then to hear it repeated in a different thing. This is called spoken word, and part of it, the words are important, but so is the telling and the difference in telling. So the different voices telling the same thing give us a different gift. The Holy Spirit's at work because we had a nice gap to do that. And actually that's good. What I'm going to do now as well, and I'll always do this, I'll always have halfway through a small interlude of 5 minutes. It's just, again, that analogy of a feast, and it's just to digest some of what's been said, and if anyone needs a toilet break as well. So we'll just have a 5-minute interlude now. Okay, thank you.
Last
Okay, we'll start up again. This will be, you'll hopefully understand this by the words, so I'm not going to say much about it, and I think the Christian love theme's evident in it. I'm just need to do this at the beginning. Father Ray, this is for you. Okay. You see, you board with all good intention. This is not geography of your invention. This is religious life, and waters don't always run smooth. During a novitiate, there can be all manner of contention. I, all at sea. He, a man with a gentle hand, for something did stand. His ship to guide us into... No, sorry, I'll start again. I have one more go at it, then I'll read it. You see, you board with all good intention, but this is not geography of your invention. This is religious life, and waters don't always run smooth. During a novitiate, there can be all manner of contention. I, all at sea. He, with a gentle hand, for something did stand. A native fishing out jetsam, me in the sea of a strange land. His ship to guide us into this life, salvation his vessel's brand. Even if me, the novice, could not at first fully understand. Tidal waves crashing against me at 33, scourged with drunken fear of being found out and what would be. Christ, was I about to die at 33? At night I aimed for bed sober, but often fell as a sodden tree. He was a patient man, silently sensing me nearing my salty end. He waited for us to heed that we no longer need to bleed and descend. Aftermath of my last bender, knocking on his door in need of a friend. My novice master lifted me off my cross, my resurrection to ascend by simply saying, we will get through this together. And if I can ask Trish up now, please.
This is quite a short little poem. I should have investigated exactly who wrote it, and I will do that and let you know, sorry. This actually was something that my daughter found on the internet 5 years ago, and she read this at my husband's funeral, her father's funeral. We've just tweaked the end. He never looks for praise, he's never one to boast. He just goes on quietly working for those he loves the most. His dreams are seldom spoken, his wants are very few. And most of the time, his worries will go unspoken too. He's there, a firm foundation through all our storms of life, a sturdy hand to hold to in times of stress and strife, a true friend that we can turn to when times are good or bad. One of our greatest blessings, the man we call our Father.
And if I can ask Lorna up now, please. It's quite scary when I come up, isn't it?
In October 2017, I received 2 sealed envelopes. which had been found in my mother's possessions. She passed away in 1962, and they had been stored unopened by my eldest brother since then. One marked Carvin's verses written to me, my father's name was Carvin, contained 13 verses, and the other letters which had accompanied them, dated 1920 to 1921. He seems to have written sometimes more than once a day, on very small note paper and very tiny writing, and sometimes 4 pages. I was only 6 when my father died in 1941. After a long, painful illness, I had very few memories of him, so it was a wonderful discovery. My father, Carvin Young, came from a Welsh Methodist family. He trained as a Methodist minister. His father was a Methodist minister, and his brother was also a Methodist minister. On leaving college in 1914, he was sent as a chaplain to the front in France. He travelled along the trenches on a pony and later a bicycle, comforting the sick and dying. He suffered trench fever twice with complications. One of the complications was one of the orderlies dropped boiling water over his feet, and apparently he didn't let anybody know because he didn't want to get her into trouble, so, for which he was very thankful. After the war, he was sent to Cheltenham and district as Methodist minister, where he was responsible for several Methodist chapels. He travelled on a motorbike to outlying villages around the Cotswolds. My mother, Doreen Drake, was a young lady who sang in the choir at one of these chapels and with whom he was to fall in love. He started writing to her and sending verses that he had written. To start with, he's shy and obviously still suffering from depression, but gradually he gets more confident. The first poem I'd like to read is entitled Ex Umbris, Darkness to Light. Now that the chill of winter is begun, and heaven is hid by drear and deathly grey, and those so lately glorious veiled the sun, and summer's living beauty fled away, now that the year's slow race is nearly run, and night is long, but very short the day, and flowers are dead, trees bare, and one by one the birds have sought the south, what shall I say? Happy is he who, when the shadows fall, his journeying's done, can leave his trial, and find brightness and warmth and comfort. More than all, welcoming eyes that sparkle true and kind. Happier still, who knows in earthbound night the unearthly radiance of the inward light. He obviously finds every opportunity to meet Doreen, sometimes using her friend Trixie as a go-between. The next verse is entitled Rosa Mystica. I was surprised by my father's devotion to Mary, not something Methodists are known for. They have no icons or candles or statues in Methodist chapels. Rosa Mystica. Mary, Mother of Jesus, I light a candle to thee. Little indeed can I offer, but the light that is behest in me. Intercede for me with thy Son, who is only Lord of light. Save me now and forever from the gloom of lonely night. Mary, Mother of Jesus, I offer a prayer to thee. Lovers, they say, that thou dost look on exceedingly tenderly. Look on me, I beseech thee, with thine eyes so gladly grave. Mary, Mother of Jesus, grant me the love I crave. Mary, Lady of Lovers, I sing a hymn to thee. Thou, if thou will, can make me sing most merrily. Thou who hast known a rapture no human tongue can say. Mary, Lady of Lovers, banish my fears away. Mary, Queen of Heaven and Lady of Chivalry, help me in all my fighting to fight most gallantly. Keep me from deed unworthy and selfish aim and thought. Lady of all true courtesy, help me to live as I ought. Mary, Lady of Pity, dubious fears thou hast known. Those who weep most surely thou dost love as thy very own. Thou hast been out in the darkness. Keep me, whatever may be, true to the Lord of love, who was Son and Lord to thee. He picks up courage and visits my mother in her home. This is from one of his letters. If I passed your house this evening and saw your window blind half down, I should take it as a sign that I might call. My grandfather asks his intentions and gives permission for them to walk out together. Of course, they set the tongues wagging in the chapels. My mother must have found that quite difficult. Several beautiful love poems follow, and a kiss. I'll read just a few verses. This was entitled D.D. Doreen Drake. Most perfect lady, how shall I begin to sing the charms that are so very bright? Poets would hymn your hair, your eyes, your chin. Dazzled stand I, a blind man brought to sight, and cannot tell the graces one by one, but just the vision glorious that I see. None can detail the splendor of the sun. Wholly, entirely beautiful to me, so I greatly daring, O my lady queen, I sing you lovely, wonderful Doreen. Yet some I must tell, I must sing your eyes, dark as a deep unfathomed well of myth, boundless with new enchantment and surprise, the wine of life, the lure of faultless youth, that's filled with singing and forever true, a heart tender with kindness. But the whole I cannot say, my words are lame and few. Oh, that my song had sweeter, loftier been, yet I have sung of you, my lady queen. And he finishes, I offer these verses to you on high, from one who lonely in darkness grope. There is no promise in earth or sky, but lies in my patient, humble hope. There follows the only verse written by my mother in pencil on a scrap of paper. I think it's rather beautiful. Now, though the skies drop stars upon my face, and winter gloom usurps dead summer's place, I yet can smile at all I chance to meet. This is love's doing, sweet. I can see sunlight where the shadows be, and twinkling star points in the leaden sky, and lilies in the dust around my feet. This is love's doing, sweet. Dull life turned golden by a kiss. Hard toil made light by dream of promised bliss. Eyes raised in trust towards what life shall prove. This is thy doing, love. They were married in 1922. I had 3 older brothers, all born in different parts of the country. Methodist ministers move every 3 years. I was born in Guernsey in the Channel Islands, which is where my father wrote his last verse. Would you like to hear it? I seem to have read a lot. Heavenly Father, who does speak in the smiling flowers of spring, purple mountains, summer seas, songs of birds upon the wing, now the winter brings to earth cloud and tempest, cold and rain, as beneath serener skies, make thy daily mercies plain. Roses in the garden told of the artist's generous care. Roses past, but thorns remain, sleeps the garden brown and bare. Now we praise the grace that sends in the darkness brightest light. Praise the love that wore the thorn, kingliest crown in sinner's sight. Is he still suffering from depression? I think he probably was. My family moved to London for 3 years and then to Pembrokeshire on the day that the Second World War broke out, 1939. My father died a year later. They had 20 happy years together. My mother had to take her family back home to live with her mother, but that's another story. And I have got to know my father. I've made an anthology of the verses and photographs and pictures I've painted and been able to share them with the family. Thank you for letting me share this with you.
Thank you.
That took me all over, Lorna, but a prevailing thought. I'm reading a book at the moment called All the Light We Cannot See, and it made me think of these lives and this creativity and this beauty that's walking around us all the time, and we don't even know it's there. And what a gift and a grace to receive that. I mean, and to be able to share it with us. So thank you very much.
Can I just show you the size of the envelope?
You can, yeah, because I bet you it's a big one.
I had to bring the envelope because it's tiny.
Wow, wow.
That's all the 13 poems.
That's something else.
This is the letters.
Yeah. Well, they don't. I was thinking that as well. Lucy just says they don't do poems like that now, do they? No? Lucy, you're on there. Oh, get ready. Get ready. I'll call you up. Okay? Are you ready? There's somebody we haven't mentioned yet. St. Valentine. I think we should finish with St. Valentine. Lucy, thank you.
I've got a fair idea who sent this about 3 weeks ago, and it's from a church, Whitefriars Street in Dublin. And it's a casket in the church, and the relics of St. Valentine are kept in there, and every Tuesday evening, the needs of the young people of Ireland and the world are prayed for every Tuesday. So it says on here for someone important, but we're all important, aren't we? So this is by Amelia O'Connell. Day pass, friends grow older, new friends are made, love grows bolder. I want to love you. Please be my friend. Am I too loud? Do you want me to start again? Yeah. I'm not going to read about all that again. Yeah. It's because I'm short. Right, this is a poem by Amelia O'Connell. Days pass, friends grow older, new friends are made, love grows bolder. I want you to love me. Please be my friend and love me. Saint Valentine, touch the hearts of our young people, intercede for their needs, and hear our prayer. Amen.
So thank you. Again, I think it's been a special sharing. It's been very powerful. Thank you, everyone. May God bless and keep you.